then I'll stand by your side and be your sword again like before. No, it doesn't matter what happens. I'll still fight for you all the same. But I don't want to just be your sword. I want to stand by your side, as your equal.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Geek News Anime Night, where we take a particular season of anime, we go through it episode by episode, give the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And joining me is my lovely wife, Andrea. Andrea, we did a bad thing. We did a naughty thing. She's literally looking at me like, what did we do? So we may have broken the rule just a little bit with this, and we actually marathoned some episodes yesterday, and we're still going to keep doing things in the original format where we're going to go over each episode, but maybe this will be something we can do in the future because recording for us is kind of few and far between. So at that point, first of all, how are you doing, Andrea? Especially since you were just barely out at a trunk or treat with our kids.
It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why I'm like, I'd just rather stay home and enjoy.
But more importantly, it was cold.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it was cold.
Andrea, is it cold enough for you? I am basically your Nappa in DBZA. Do you remember the bug planet, Vegeta? Remember the bug planet? Vegeta? 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 Ah! So, we're back talking Shield Hero Season 2. And honestly, we only had 4 episodes left, so we just decided, to hell with it. We'll nuke through them all, and we'll go over episode by episode. So at that point, let's get right into it. So we have episode 10, first of all, which is aptly named Katana Hero. And we kind of noticed that in the previous episode when they were actually talking about having a bounty out on the Katana Hero. And we were like, oh, well, that probably means we're going to get a new character out of this, right? And it turns out we weren't wrong. It's just not what we expected. So the fun part about this episode is that much like, I think it was the previous episode where we got to see what's been happening with Philo before Naofumi rescued her, this time we get Raphtalia's perspective after she got captured, where she was basically sent to this Uber prison by, what was the guy's name? Dude with purple hair. Like, I want to say it's Kazama, but I'm probably not right.
You would know those names better than I would.
No, I wouldn't. Don't lie to the people. Kazuki, that's his name.
Okay.
Don't lie to the people. I rely on Wikipedia just as much as you do.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even know how to pronunciate Japanese names.
That's funny considering that you know how to pronounce all of the characters in Fruits Basket.
Barely. But only if I hear the names.
And also Raphtalia is not a Japanese name.
But still, I wouldn't even know how to pronunciate it unless somebody already said it once.
Okay. Anyway, so basically things start off right after she got captured at the what do they call it? The Dragon Vein?
Something like that.
Where she got captured by Kyo. And she gets sent to like this Uber prison by Kazuki and just, is Raphtalia. Can we necessarily blame her for that? She's like, don't worry, Master Naofumi, I will bear all the burdens and punishment because I know I will see you again. And she's like, seriously, you don't have to bear all this pain and punishment. You can just be his friend, man. And the funniest thing is that when she gets put in her cell, she has some very unusual cellmates. That being Larc, Therese, and Glass. And I actually like it when she turns around and they're all tied up and she's like, ah! So I guess they all got caught by Kyo. And now they're in a place where they basically dampen all of their magical abilities, including the abilities of their vassal weapons. So Larc's scythe doesn't really work. And actually, this is a bad situation because as we learn, since Glass is a spirit, since it dampens all of your magical abilities and your mana, and that's the life force of spirits, it's actually like killing her. It's doing it slowly. So at that point, they basically all catch up. And even though, and Raphtalia even admits, like, I know Master Naofumi is not going to like that I do this, which is funny because that's when they realize, oh shit, you're Naofumi's buddy Raphtalia. Or what is it Larc called her? Raphtalia?
Something like
that, because he has Kiddo, and then I can't remember what he calls Philo, but it's like Raphtalia. And so they recognize it, and she basically says, I know that he won't like this, but I will set up an uneasy alliance with you so that we can get out of here. And they basically pull a minor enchantment, which basically looks like the cell is empty, because the way it works is like they have all this dampening on the cells, but the guards get a buff. They have like a talisman that gives them a buff, so they can handle all of the prisoners. And so they make it look like nobody's in there. So he steps in and immediately sees the three, but doesn't see Raphtalia. And so she stealthily sneaks up and grabs the talisman and gives it to Glass so that they can basically blow a hole in the prison and leave. Funniest thing, when they're working together, they are actually pretty awesome, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
They actually end up in a town, but I don't think it's a town that we've visited yet. They kind of make it sound like they're in another nation altogether, because they basically are going to make their way back to Sequel, where we actually find out during discussions, or at least Raphtalia finds out, that Larc is actually the prince of Sequel. So the kingdom that Naofumi was just barely in with Ethnobalt and all that, he is the prince of that kingdom. And so they basically are going to make their way to it, and they have to basically reaccommodate their entire lifestyle, which is very thrifty, to a growing Raphtalia. Which, by the way, that was a great thing, right? They had to go and buy all this food, and they're like, how are we going to buy it? We don't have any money because we were in prison. And so Therese, who I guess has this kinship with other gems, like she kind of acts like they have personalities of their own.
And she hides them.
And she hides gems. And so she's like, well, we could sell these. And they're like, first of all, we feel really bad. But second of all, how did you hide those? Or where did you hide those? I like to imagine that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean 3 where, like all of a sudden, what's her name? Keira Knightley's character all of a sudden pulls out a cannon. We're not sure where she put it, but it was there.
Where else would you hide stuff?
Well, I can tell you what a lot of people assume, where a lot of people assumed Keira Knightley hid that cannon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would particularly like where that was, but that's the presumption, I guess, is that the gems were hid in upper butt, basically. She was hiding them upper butt. And so they keep on selling gems, which makes Therese feel really bad. And then they tried to fix Raphtalia's outfit, which Glass feels really bad about because she didn't think she'd be... Because I guess she's a great sewer, and she's like, I didn't realize I'd be doing this to an enemy. And so they all just kind of come to realize friendship in the heart of the cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up until they get to a town that is in a bit of a commotion. And that commotion is that a vassal weapon is about to pick its chosen hero. Because the way the vassal weapons work as opposed to the cardinal weapons is where the cardinal weapons pick somebody from another world, I guess the vassal weapons will pick somebody from that world. And so at that point they will pick it, and the vassal weapons choose it specifically. So that given moment, they go up there, and it is a katana, which is funny because the Katana Hero was wanted, and we didn't really know why. So they go up to watch the ceremony. They're not necessarily wanting to be that much a part of it. And Kazuki, out of nowhere, comes up to claim the katana. And it immediately rejects him with this, big flash And this is right when Larc is explaining, like, the vassal weapons choose you. And all of a sudden, Kazuki's freaking out because the katana is no longer there. And then Larc looks down at Raphtalia, and she has the katana.
It magically shows up in her hand.
Yes, and it's magically the height of Raphtalia. Did you notice that? It, like, grew with Raphtalia, which was kind of funny. So now we have a bit of a problem, because now that she has the katana vassal weapon, this pretty much makes them very recognizable to everybody and gives them the notoriety that they don't want. Like, they want to be incognito this whole time, and now they can't avoid it, especially now that Kazuki is super pissed that he could not get his hands on the katana vassal weapon. Which just makes me laugh the entire time. What did you think about that moment in particular when Larc looks down and, oh, look, Raphtalia has the katana? What the hell?
Well, we were all surprised, but at the same time not surprised.
I remember one question you and I were both asking is, like, why? Because, as they just barely said, the vassal weapon picks from a person of that world. And Raphtalia is not a person of that world. So we were, like, sitting there going, what? What the hell? And...
well, maybe they just mean... yeah, maybe... or at least someone who's in one of these...
I guess, like, maybe when they're here, they're considered to be a part of that world.
Maybe.
Even though demi-humans literally don't exist in that world. Which is the best part of the whole thing, is, like, they literally bought, like, a Goku-level feast, and Raphtalia ate, like, 80% of it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's and for all the people who are going to correct, yes, it's not a Goku-level feast where there's, like, multiple servings being served, but Raphtalia ate quite a bit. So much so that she kind of dwarfed Glass, Therese, and Larc by a margin. Because she, as a young demi-human and back at level 1, she has to eat a lot to be able to keep going. So immediately, Larc is in danger mode. And he's like, okay, we gotta get the hell out of here. Come with me, Raphtalia, and offers his hand, like, we need to get out of here. And Raphtalia basically says, thank you, but no, because she didn't want to get them in trouble. I know some people might look at that and go, no, screw you guys, I'm going home. But it was more like, no, she didn't want to cause more trouble to the three. So she starts running on her own. And even better, once she starts running on her own and starts hiding, her body starts to grow, and the presumption is that the vassal weapon is doing it. The vassal weapon is giving her power, and because of that power, she's growing. So her cute little outfit is now a sexy little outfit because of how short it is. But the worst part about this is that it is draining her energy while she's growing. So, like, she is out of any kind of energy. She can't run. She can't fight back. She can't do any of that stuff. She eventually ends up at a temple where she's basically using her katana as a cane at this point. She can't walk on her own. And a temple priestess who's just out doing her rounds notices Raphtalia and then also notices the katana. Keep in mind, all the guards are looking for Raphtalia at this point. So probably anybody else is looking for a reward. So we're all like, oh, crap, Raphtalia is boned. And believe it or not, we're not. Because the priestess, I guess, this temple is dedicated to the Katana Hero. And I guess the Katana Hero has a reputation for not necessarily always being on the, quote, right side. And so this family has always supported it regardless of what that person might be doing. And we get the fan service moment of the episode where the priestess is like, oh, those clothes will never do. Rip! And immediately Raphtalia's buck naked. And so everybody gets that fan servicey scene that they wanted, where she's basically holding her naughty bits and making sure nobody can see. And then eventually is put into what's called a Miko costume, but this one is more ornate. And I think it's just a reflection of the Katana Hero. So, what did you... I have to ask this, Andrea. What did you think of the fan servicey moment?
I'm not surprised.
But what goes through your head when this stuff happens? Do you just go like, ugh? Like, do you facepalm internally, or do you just like, I don't care?
I'm probably just like, are you kidding me? But okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also a fox girl, so that doesn't help either. It's just good that she's not a Tanaki girl. Because then there would be a pair down there. And I don't need that. What did you think of the whole secret support of the Katana Hero, and then eventually her getting, for lack of a term, a more Kagome looking outfit or rather a Kikyo looking outfit, but with armor?
Oh, it looks nice.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Is it something that you would cosplay in?
Probably not.
Just because of the amount of effort, or there was no sexy factor to it, so that's not the issue, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Okay. Well, so Raphtalia gets dressed, and she thanks the person for helping her out, but she's got to get out of here so that she doesn't get her in trouble. And the second that she starts leaving the temple, Kazuki shows up with his harem escort. He has 2 women coming with him. I think he had 1 woman with him when he tried to pull the katana, but now he has 2. So that means he's doubled in power, right? He's got 2 girls to sit there and fawn over him. And Kazuki is just livid and demanding that Raphtalia give him the katana, because he is, quote, more deserving of it than she is. And also, apparently, he wants it so that Kyo no longer has a 1-up advantage on him. And so he basically has been screwed over by Kyo, is what we can presume from that. And he wants the katana so that he can have a little bit more power on his side. Well, Raphtalia ain't buying any of that crap, and immediately says, no, you won't have it. So he decides to send these copies of Byakko, which is supposed to be the legendary white tiger, and I guess he's the guardian beast of this world, maybe, that Kyo was able to secure. And he sends the copies to go and kill Raphtalia, and we get an omae wa shinderu. And they both die. Just instant blood splatter everywhere, everything like that. And Kazuki is actually very irritated at that and immediately challenges her, to which she has now gained access to her Katana Hero abilities. And I honestly, after this point, I really want to have a moment where she goes to Naofumi and goes, oh, is this what you see all the time? And see all the talents. But maybe the vassal weapons don't work the same way. So they have a clash, and boom, omae wa shinderu on Kazuki. But this one's a little bit different, where she basically says, if you move, I have killed you. So if you move, you will be cut in half. So immediately his harems come up to try and heal him up so that he doesn't die. And she uses that time to get away. And as soon as she gets down to the last stair, it turns out that somebody's been looking for her, and she gets spotted again, except this time she is saved by Naofumi. So Naofumi and Rishia and Kizuna have finally caught back up to Raphtalia, and they're taking care of her because she's still very weak from using the other attack. She was already weak to begin with because of the transition, and we get to have a nice teary welcome. Or actually, no, the thing that happens, we also see a little bird in the sky, which we're guessing is Philo, and she spotted Raphtalia, and that's when Naofumi stepped in, and we get to have a tearful reunion. I want to say tearful because Naofumi was about to cry, just Raphtalia wasn't. But we know it, on the inside she probably was.
Mm-hmm.
But during all of this, she's actually had a bit of a revelation, because I haven't mentioned this until now, because it's more into her character development, one of the other things that Katana did was it got rid of the slave crest. And because of that, that's actually changed a lot of Raphtalia's mindset in the fact that she doesn't have to be his sword. She can stand with him on the battlefield as an equal, which I think is a tremendous amount of character development for Raphtalia. And that's where things end on this episode, is the tearful reunion where Naofumi's about to cry, but Raphtalia just gives him a hug and says, "I'm glad to be home." And I actually do remember, because he's like, "Your slave crest is gone. Does that mean you're going to leave me?" And she basically goes, "Master Naofumi, I'm home where I belong." And that's where the episode ends. So, Andrea, what did this episode do right?
There was a lot of good moments in it.
Let's just go over the positives one by one. So what was one positive thing you liked about this?
I just liked how Raphtalia got to be the katana wielder or whatever.
Katana Hero.
Yeah.
Yep. I like that too, because it gave her a little bit more importance. And one of the things that's been irritating her this whole season is that she was already doing this in the archipelago, where she was outgrowing weapons, and she was getting kind of annoyed at that. And then they leave from the Spirit Tortoise arc, and she's back down to level 1. She can't use her equipment anymore. And so she was already mad about that, and now she has a sword that she doesn't ever have to let go of. So you have that. But I just want to clarify really quick. So are you saying like all the things that happened to Raphtalia, or just the fact that she became the Katana Hero?
Well, I liked that, so. Because
I would say the other positive is all of the other character development that we got with her is, ever since we started up this world hopping part of it, she's been feeling very, very much like a burden to everybody, because now she's back to level 1. And she has to eat more, and she has to do more to be able to get back to where she was. And this took away all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked a lot of that stuff, too, because it just, once again, showcases her humility. And she doesn't have to like it, but she is still a very humilitous person. And so I tend to like a lot of that. But now, the fact that she doesn't need the slave crest anymore, she can stand with Naofumi as an equal. Now we can all get rid of the fucking slave crests.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Philo can't because it's a monster crest, I think. And it's just bound from birth to Naofumi. But now, I mean, the only one that has a slave crest anymore is Rishia. And, well, I hope that gets rid of pretty soon. What's another positive?
I also liked it when Raphtalia and the other group work together to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just.
Oh, you mean in the prison?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were meaning with Kazuki.
No,
you're talking about the prison moment where they
work together.
Yeah, that was a good moment. Your inner rogue was tickled with that moment, weren't you?
Mm.
Where she invisibly went up and grabbed the talisman. I'm going to add on to that. I actually like the fact that we'd already seen Larc and Therese in a positive light, but we got to see Glass in a positive light in this episode. And one thing I actually didn't mention is that Raphtalia, because it goes to Glass's character development, Raphtalia mentions that they found Kizuna. And if you remember, Kizuna said that Glass is her best friend. And we were all kind of like, huh? Because the Glass we know is uncaring. And this time around, we actually saw the best friend that Kizuna knows, and she was basically kicking her own ass because she never thought to look in the Infinite Labyrinth for Kizuna. And so at that point, that's one of the reasons that she decides to sew the clothing of Raphtalia, is because she's, it's like she gave her that hope that Kizuna is still around. So I like the character development for Glass, and she didn't seem like she was all cold and heartless anymore. She actually feels like a real person. And now I just think back to the point where she got really, really drunk, and we could have gotten a way different version of Glass, and I kind of wish we had that. But other positives. I'm going to take this one. Omae wa mo shinderu. All of the moments from Raphtalia. That was so great. And I can't even remember what it was called, but I think the translation for the attack is like powdered snow.
Something like that.
So I love that. And she was very good at it. And it kind of made me wish that you could see like this ice trail that comes off of it, but it didn't. But yeah, all of the moments were so good because we got to see the Byakuya clones just get nuked. And then we got to see Kazuki. Well, he gets nuked, but he doesn't necessarily die. Instead, his harem goes up to heal him. So another positive moment for you.
That's all I could think of.
Okay, is there anything that this episode did wrong?
No, not really.
I mean, some might argue that the whole Raphtalia being a burden was probably annoying at this point. I could see that argument, but I would disagree. I think it just goes towards Raphtalia's character. She's always been a very... I can't think of another word to say other than humility. She's a very humilitous person. And primarily because she's actually had slavery. She's been a slave. She's had the worst happen to her, and so now she's like this beacon of positivity. So I would tend to disagree. I like those moments because it makes Raphtalia not seem like this uber nothing can touch me character. When in reality, like we've seen things affect her, and this is just one of those little things that can affect her. Aside from that, not really. I mean, Kazuki's motivation in particular. So basically, he got screwed over by Kyo, and now wants to one up him.
Never find out why.
Yeah, I don't think it ever got like legitimately explained. We just know he screwed him over. And so he was wanting the katana to be try to one up Kyo. But aside from that, no. I mean, maybe Therese and the fact that she was mad that we had to let go of so many gems, but they kind of did this in the archipelago, showing that like each gem is unique to them, unique to her race. So I'm not gonna hold that against her. So then at that point, out of 5, what would we give Katana Hero? 4. I'm giving it a 4. It's a great episode. Is it awesome? No. There's, like a lot of the Raphtalia being a burden is something that we have to go through. The tenuous alliance is something we have to go through. But the Katana Hero aspect of it changes the whole concept of the episode, and once it happens, it immediately has a tonal shift.
Yeah, I would go with 4.
Because I thought we were going to have like 2 episodes where they were traveling together kind of thing, and then the katana happened. So I'm happy with that. So 4 for you as well?
Yeah.
All right, and that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode. When we come back, it will be episode 11. So thank you guys so much for continuing to support the podcast. We really do appreciate it. And if you're brand spanking new listening to this, you can either listen on YouTube, and if you are, please consider giving a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Or you can listen on various podcasting platforms like Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also listen on Player.fm as well as Spotify. And so hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy this, and we will see you guys next time for episode 11 of Rising of the Shield Hero.